the hell?
We can't hear.
Me either.
Hey, James, we
Okay,
can't hear you, man.
I'm good. I wanted to say before I had sound issues, I wanted to say that it's the 4th year of the show, 4th year for the Four Horsemen. I want to say this is going to be probably the craziest season for the Gauntlet so far, and I want to thank all the people that's been supporting us and rocking with us for such a long period of time. But we got Jacob Christner in the house tonight. We're going to talk about the Chicago Bears. And we're going to get into all kinds of stuff. The Chiefs won the Super Bowl. Great game against the Niners. Back-to-back champs. First team since the Patriots to do that. So we got all kinds of stuff to get into. But what's going on, guys? How are we feeling tonight? And are you guys ready for the show?
Oh yeah, absolutely, man. Chapter 4 has begun, and just like you said, it's going to be a wild ride. So we're aiming to be bigger, better, and better this year, and getting better every single year. So yeah, thanks to everybody that's been rocking with us this whole time. And here's the chapter 4. So meanwhile, we kicking it off, season premiere. Get your drinks going. I know I got my Crown Peach, but that's for after the show. But if you're drinking right now, that's cool. Matter of fact, if you're sipping something, just say something in the comments or whatever, But big shout out to those that stuck with us, man. Chapter 4, let's go.
Absolutely, guys. So let's go ahead and kick it right off. We're going to get into our rapid fire segment. We got 60 seconds on the clock. We got to do as many topics as we can within the time frame. So let's just address the elephant in the room. The San Francisco 49ers obviously lost the Super Bowl. And on top of that, defensive coordinator Steve Wilks was let go from the team. Guys, is Kyle Shanahan ducking the accountability? And is Steve Wilks the scapegoat for the 49ers not being able to get it done? Yes or no?
Yes, absolutely. As a matter of fact, that's going to be my sports moron, but we can go ahead and address it right here. He's definitely escaping accountability. He won 3 Super Bowls where he had a double-digit lead and then managed to lose every single one of them. But Steve Wilks is to blame. Like, come on, bro. You can't choke on a chicken bone and then blame him for feeding you that chicken bone. No, it's not going to happen.
I'm actually going to say no. Because when you actually take a look at it and you look at the numbers for San Francisco, their defense had drastically changed towards the end of the season. And if you actually look back, people were calling for his head before the Super Bowl. You had a second-year quarterback come in and run all over. You had a rookie mistake and lost. And you let Detroit come in and dog you on defense, and you still won. It just covered up a lot about that. I don't think Kyle is without accountability. Definitely think he has to be held accountable, but like I told you all season, after playing that defense didn't really give me bully mentality like people were making them out to be. And he's the big reason why. DeMeco Ryans had them in a much better spot, and when Steve Wilks came. So I don't think necessarily he's a scapegoat. I think there is merit to him having to be released.
All right. Jacob, what do you think?
Yeah, 1 year, though. I mean, you got to realize, regardless of what happens, people get tired, players get tired. I wish that it would have happened sooner if it was going to be that stupid, because I wanted the Bears to get him as a DC. This is kind of ridiculous, because I'm looking for the Bears to get a mega amazing infrastructure in their coaching staff. Wilks would be one of those. But biggest thing by itself is I'm not going to worry myself about Shanahan, because I'm old enough to remember 20 years of Andy Reid getting the same reputation, and he got it figured out somewhere. You know what the figuring out is? It's Mahomes. But at the same time, though, sometimes it takes something to figure it out. He might take him some time to do it, but he will anyway.
Did Andy Reid figure it out, or did he just no longer have Donovan McNabb as a quarterback?
Well,
Dom, what do you think?
Yes, he was scapegoated. He's been scapegoated so many times. Like Steve Wilks, that man's butthole is raw from being stabbed in it with no grease over and over by the Cardinals, most recently by the Niners. And NC-17. Our rating for this show. Yeah, that poor man.
Their run defense went
Steve
from
Wilkes,
5th to 26th with Steve Wilkes.
Okay. Steve Wilkes, he was also screwed by the Panthers, though. When he was the interim coach.
Yeah, the Panthers, too.
Yeah.
He actually did a pretty good job as interim coach. But my opinion is Kyle Shanahan didn't really want to work with Steve Wilkes in the first place. And the reason that's obvious is because the 49ers were one of the least blitzing teams in the league. And if you follow him from his career, when he was with the Panthers, when he was with all these teams, they were one of the top blitzing teams. So Shanahan hired a guy with a philosophy that he doesn't agree with. And then when things don't go the right way in a big game, all the focus is on him and he gets fired. But I feel like Shanahan is a major reason why this team lost the game. The players were not prepared. You had players coming out saying, oh, well, we didn't know the rules and stuff. Like, how are you a professional? And
Kyle Shanahan
don't know the rules of overtime. And we didn't really have time to have more than one of these topics. So
real quickly.
Kyle Shanahan took a page out of the book of Birdman and said,
I got to get the sports moron. But go ahead, Jacob. You get the final word.
Oh, one thing about it is he's trying to get Brandon Staley as a defensive coordinator. He's going to learn wrong against that.
Okay. So, guys, it is time for our sports morons of the week. It is a part of the show where we go over the dumbest takes and the dumbest moments in sports.
John is my least favorite everything.
John's cool. John's great.
And John Shear, we will see you and the Sideline Sports crew at the NFL Draft in Detroit very soon. But
don't y'all know John's my son? I mean, his team gets their budget.
The only way anyone will see John anywhere is if he's standing on a step stool. Not saying, just saying.
He's got a big heart, but
he better.
Just to piggyback off of the conversation. Yes, the 49ers are my sports moron of the week. This was a team that was talking the most trash. This was a team that was arrogant. This was a team that thought that they were bigger than what they really were, and they haven't won anything. They haven't won anything to have this arrogance. And for you to go out against the Chiefs and lose this game and come out after the game, Kyle Juszczyk, who's an all-pro, very good player, all-pro. Oh, I didn't know the rules. I didn't know the rules of overtime. What do you mean? Everyone in the world knew that the overtime rules had changed after that epic game a couple of years ago between Buffalo and Kansas City.
Hold on a second.
So, if you are a competitor of the highest level and you lose a game like this Super Bowl, for crying out loud, and you don't know the rules, that just shows you that the way this team has prepared is a joke. And this is not a team. This is not a championship level team. And the 49ers continuously lose NFC Championship game, lose Super Bowl. The window is going to close. It is not going to stay open forever. And it's damn near impossible to get back to the Super Bowl, especially after losing it. And the NFC will be stronger next year. So it will not be an easy road for them to get back. But I just think what the 49ers have done handling the Super Bowl after everything they said is an absolute joke.
JJ?
You know, it's interesting that you were mentioning the San Francisco 49ers because I do think Kyle Juszczyk is the moron for me. And that's kind of hard for me to say because where did he come from? Yeah. Anyway, because I really thought, now I can't remember the game verbatim, but I remember in overtime, they explained the rules before the heads and tails toss. You know what I'm saying? So, like, to me, I don't think they would not explain it in the Super Bowl. And I can't remember if they did, but I'm pretty sure more than likely that they did. So to say that, I think y'all should just own it. Like, again, reiterates a point that was made throughout the season. Y'all were not who y'all thought you were. You were never who you thought you were. And you went up against a guy who has seen everybody who thinks that they thought they were. You thought you were going to do something different than what Baltimore tried to do the game before? It's not going to work. And so at the end of the day, just accept the fact that, Mahomes is Mahomes. There's not a defense that he hasn't seen. By the way, shout out to Will. He wants to get on. Why not? Let's get our brother on. But back to the thing, I get with that. That's my moron, because it's like, bro, that's the best you can do. That is the best you can do.
Crazy.
Congratulations on making the Super Bowl. All you had to do was beat the Lions.
Okay, Dom, so do you want to give your sports moron, or do you have one?
It's Troy Weaver, Pistons GM. Much maligned by me personally and every other person with a brain and eyes that communicate. He traded away both of our good shooters for crumbs and air and expiring contracts. If you're watching Troy Weaver, fuck you. I want this man off my planet. For 2 years, he had Bojan Bogdanovic on the trade block. Overvalued him the whole time. And then the clock started ticking, tick, tick, tick on the trade deadline. He's like, oh shit, no one wants to give us anything. We'll just take expiring contracts and crumbs and air. Alec Burks, same flex. He traded all of our good players to the Knicks. All of them.
The Knicks are looking pretty good, too.
Yeah.
But, at the end of the day, you are building for next year. You had the emergence of...
We're building for 2037.
You are having Jaden Ivey kind of grow up, and it's going to be him and Cade with Jalen Duren. So you have to get those guys.
Cade and Ivy don't know how to work on the floor at the same time.
So my question to you on that one, Dom, is exactly what was Alec Burks and Bogdan going to do for you if you kept them? Nothing. But they should have traded them last year.
That's the point Dom is making.
Should have got more.
Okay. What were you really going to get from them, realistically?
Could have got a lot more for Bogdanovic last year in the middle of the season, not before the trade deadline. Could have got more for Burks in the middle of the season rather than at the trade deadline. I never wanted Bogdanovic on this team to start with.
I think you kind of overstating their value a little bit.
No, that was Troy Weaver, not me. Fucking Troy Weaver, not me. Fucking Troy Weaver.
You'd be the most entertaining GM ever, I tell you.
Getting heated.
I know. I would, because I'd be honest. And people aren't ready for that.
We got to get to the rest of our sports morons, guys. So, Jacob.
Sorry, it's the super dudes.
Understood. Now, my sports moron is anybody that thinks that Brandon Staley would be better than Steve Wilkes. Because that's the whole thought process right now. When the Brandon Staley was at the Bears, the idiot Bears fans were going. The idiot Bears fans were going. We want Brandon Staley. We want Brandon Staley because he's an offensive genius. And then we see what happened. I'm not kidding you. Yes, he said that. They said that. And then now they're moving him over to defense, which Steve Wilkes is a far superior defensive mind than Brandon Staley ever would be. And it's like you're trying to keep him in the league somehow, just trying to move him around, find something. He's going to go all the way down to special teams before we know it. But I'm like, this is the thing with teams though. It's like you're trying to build an infrastructure, the coaching, everything to be able to get a team to be able to get to this. And if you get rid of a guy like Steve Wilkes in a year, okay, he made his mistake. But you get rid of them, you can't build anything. It's like, you want to know who they keep? You want to know who Kansas City does? They keep people. Much as I despise Nagy, he brought Nagy back after a disaster in Chicago.
Nagy is a great coordinator.
No,
but the thing is, he's a coordinator under. I don't know what kind of coordinator he can be without.
Not to cut you off, Jacob, but everyone that's saying all this stuff about all these people are great coordinators. You guys don't know that Andy Reid runs that entire offense. It runs and goes with Andy Reid. It's not about the enemy. It's not about this coordinator, that coordinator. It's about Andy Reid.
There's a reason Bieniemy hasn't got a head coach job.
He's been running the same type of offense since the Eagles days with Westbrook and McNabb and them. The same
version of the Eagles.
We're gonna get to more Andy Reid talk definitely later when we talk about the Chiefs and how they won the Super Bowl. But Jay, take us away. You get the final word. Sports moron of the week.
My sports moron was Shanahan and the 49ers for firing Wilkes, and we pretty much hashed that, but I would like to leave everybody with this, and that is that we've already hashed it already, but I do want to leave everybody with this, and that is I saw something earlier that said that 49ers wide receiver Brandon Ayuk looks like Mike Tomlin with dreads. And when you go and actually look this up, you will understand why it is the truest thing you will see all day.
You can't unsee it.
You can't unsee it.
He looks like Mike Tomlin trying to guard something and kill somebody.
That's all I had, James.
So that's all you got? Okay, guys, so we're going to take a short break here, and when we get back, the Kansas City Chiefs are the first team to win back-to-back Super Bowls since the New England Patriots did it, I believe, in 2003 to 2004. We're going to share our thoughts about the Chiefs and their dynasty and everything that they've done. So when we get back, recap the Super Bowl and everything that took place over the last week.
305.
All right, the Gauntlet is brought to you a Sideline Sports Production. Sideline Sports guys did such a fantastic job covering the Super Bowl, interviewing players, Radio Row, press conferences, everything, doing a fantastic job out there. So the Super Bowl, and before we actually get into the actual Super Bowl, I just want to say, guys, when it comes to this halftime show, when I saw Usher hanging all over Alicia like that, I just gotta point this out. This does not give you the vibes of like a work husband. You know, like when you have a work husband is when a guy, a coworker of someone's girl is just like all hugging him and stuff and touching him and stuff at work. But someone else's woman, that's exactly what Usher was doing on the stage.
You're just jealous because you don't have a work husband? Is that what I'm getting?
Yeah, pretty much.
No, man.
Usher is just that type of dude that can get away with it. You saw it with Keke Palmer. You saw it with just about any. Y'all got to remember, Usher, and I mean with a lot of these other female artists and whatnot. Don't forget, a lot of them was fantasizing about Usher long before they even got famous. Keke Palmer even openly admitted it. You know, Usher is still a lot of these women's fantasies. It's not out of the realm of thought. So if they have the chance to get hugged up by Usher for 2-3 seconds on stage, they're gonna take it. Usher told y'all. He said, "Don't bring your girl around me, true player for real."
To be very honest with you, I would love it too. At the end of the day, like, that's just how I feel. But what?
So the sun came up.
I'll be on. Another thing I will say is, I already know exactly what Usher's going through because I've gone through it in my entire life. When you are good at dancing, you have rhythm. That intimidates people who know because it's always going to look like you're doing a little bit more than what you are. I've had situations just like this where I was dancing with a friend of mine, and this dude got mad at me and thought I was wanting something with that girl, and everybody was like, but he is gay. But situations
will arise.
Dancer, it's really what it is. If he had no rhythm, if he was like freaking nothing like that, it would look awkward. It would look like, oh my God, Alicia's uncomfortable now. It looks weird. He's being like creepy or whatever.
Yeah, I mean,
Usher was a little too hugged up on my girl for my taste.
Usher's a good. I mean, at the end of the day, I understand you have to. You want to defend and be like, feel some type of way, but it is a little bit of a test of whether you're secure or not secure.
Well,
I'm just so tired of talking about this.
James.
Look at Swiss Beats and look at Usher.
Jacob, what were you going to say?
I'm going to say this. JJ, how old are you?
Old enough 34. To know better.
How old?
34.
Okay, 34. Okay, you got three. I'm going to say this, James. You got 3 40-year-olds and a 30-year-old here. We had eras where no one cared. Like the media pulls off this care of, oh my God, he's touching him too much. Oh my God, I'm offended. It's like, this is what we're used to. We're used to women wanting men and being proud.
But Jacob, Jacob, you already remember Justin Timberlake ripped Janet Jackson.
Exactly.
I mean, hello.
Yes.
Missed the flash because they didn't have TiVo.
Hold on, we gotta bring it back in, and we're gonna start actually talking about the game. So one day when we have more time, we need to discuss like all the Super
This
Bowl
is definitely a
halftime
non-sports topic in the future.
Super Bowl halftime shows of all time. But let's talk about this game, guys. So I want to just start us off and say, I think this was a very good game, very competitive game. Went to overtime and everything. Both the defenses showed up. It was a physical football game for most of it. The turning point happened in the second half when the ball bounced off of somebody's foot when Ray McLeod was trying to return that punt. Kansas City, short field, gets a touchdown, and that's what gave them the life to kind of get back in the game. But before that, it really looked like San Francisco was trying to really control this game. So the mistakes that the 49ers made, to me, stands out. I know we love to talk about Mahomes and his heroic, but I just think when you're playing the Chiefs, you can't make any mistakes. McCaffrey fumbled the ball. You have the turnover on special teams, the missed extra point. If these plays don't happen, then the Chiefs don't even have a chance to get to overtime. So the 49ers made the mistakes. Kansas City Chiefs took advantage of that, and they're Super Bowl champions again, man. And is anybody really surprised? I'm not surprised. And until further notice, we don't know if anybody can actually beat the Chiefs in the Super Bowl because we really haven't seen it. Other than Tom Brady, we haven't seen it.
Yeah, I'm just out here in Detroit. We're like, man, beating the Chiefs, it's not for everyone.
Yeah.
In the Super Bowl was the key word.
We would have beat them too. We would have beat either one of those teams.
What I will say is you can make mistakes. You just better have a quarterback who can overcome mistakes, because there was a quarterback who did overcome it, and I have to give him mad credit because he is Joe Burrow. In the playoff game where they did go to the Super Bowl, they were down by 3 scores, and they found their way back. So it can be done, but there's not too many quarterbacks that like that. And as of right now, the only quarterback that you can honestly say has a legit chance to defeat Patrick in the playoffs currently playing is Burrow, because he's the only one that has done it after Brady. So at the end of the day, what I will say about the Super Bowl is when you bet, it goes exactly how you thought it was going to be. I honestly never was worried about Kansas City in this game at all, because I knew what the people were betting on. They were betting on San Francisco to win and it to be a low-scoring game. So with San Francisco spread to be 3.5, everybody was betting that. So I already knew Kansas City was probably going to have a chance to make a comeback, but it is shout out to them. Their offense, Pacheco was a key piece. Rice and their players, they started to figure it out. They figured it out. So they weren't the same team that was in the regular season. And they are a dynasty. Patrick Mahomes is now in the 100%. Conversation. He's in top 4 of the quarterbacks of all time. He is there. You can't take him out. Now it's just a matter of, in my opinion, I was talking to my dad about this the other day. He's only chasing one guy. He's only chasing one person. He ain't chasing nobody else. He's chasing one guy. And
Joe Montana?
No. He's chasing one guy, and to be honest with you, when he retired, I thought that his championship record was unattainable. I'm not so sure.
He's got 3, and he's not even 30.
Yeah,
I'm not so sure. I'm just not so sure now.
That's all fine. That is all fine, but what I will say to you is this. Tom Brady has beaten Patrick Mahomes twice in the playoffs, in the AFC Championship, and in the Super Bowl. So that matters. Can you imagine if LeBron James lost to Michael Jordan in the finals, what people said? So I think that matters, and that's why I'm not going to say Patrick Mahomes is the GOAT.
LeBron would lose to MJ in the finals 3-zip.
No, I should say he's chasing him. He's chasing him. He's
chasing him, and of course, we gotta, to a certain extent, we gotta quell the GOAT talks just a little bit, okay? But it can't be ignored that Mahomes is in his 7th season. Tom Brady retired with, I think, something like 31, 32 playoff wins. Mahomes is already at 15, and 3 rings.
And
So
he's got
that fact right there.
He's got more playoff wins than all these quarterbacks that you see on the screen.
All I can
Manning,
say-
Eli, Brett Favre, John Elway, Aaron Rodgers, Ben Roethlisberger, Drew Brees, and John Elway. I think that's pretty good.
That does count for a whole lot.
All I
Now,
can say is
one thing-
Mahomes is dang lucky he did not get drafted by the Bears.
Yeah, but with that being said, I did want to touch, because I talked about this on the Sideline Sports Show. I did want to touch on Brock Purdy. And just from my take, I think that Purdy played his ass off. He did. He took care of the football. He didn't turn it over. However, in those crucial moments, I think the lights were just a little bit too bright for him. One crucial play that stands out was the infamous blitz on 3rd down in overtime, and they had a goal to go. And Brock Purdy just, he had to throw the ball away. Well, if you go back and look at that replay, Juwan Jennings actually got free from his guy and was open for the winning touchdown. There was someone else open on the other side as well. Mahomes makes that throw 9 times out of 10.
No,
I
he
gotta
has to
jump
throw
in.
that out. That was too. No, that literally was. Chris Jones is coming straight at him. No one can handle that. No one.
I understand that, but I think that we got to be careful when we talk about, playing his ass off. I wouldn't say that Purdy played his ass off. I would say that playing your ass off is what Jalen Hurts did last year. Jalen Hurts played almost a perfect game and lost, but Purdy, he missed the
Purdy played to the best of his ability.
You can wait a second. Brock Purdy missed throws. He had Debo wide open. He missed a couple of touchdown throws that was open in the end zone. And that's why he can't go toe-to-toe with Mahomes. He's not that dude.
He played...
To be honest with you, Mahomes, but I'll say this much. After the game, there were people that made him out to be Rex Grossman when he played in the Super Bowl. And we know that's not true.
But James, to you guys' point, to be honest with you, when I look back at, and I'm not saying this, I'm saying this objectively, the only team that realistically had a shot to beat the Kansas City Chiefs lost an AFC title game, and that was our fault. Because if you think about it, Chris Jones reiterated it.
Detroit had a better chance.
Thank you.
No, I don't think so, because at the beginning of the year, there was a lot of miscommunication. There was a lot that was going on with Kansas City that was not happening in that playoffs. Rasheed Rice was not figured it out with Patrick Mahomes. Pacheco was not a focal point of the offense. They were figuring things out. There were drops. Remember, that was Kadarius Toney's game where there was a lot of drops going on. So
you act like there was only one.
I'm not so sure. To be very honest with you, I faced both teams. Crushed one, lost to the other. So, in my opinion, if that was the only team realistically that had a
cool homer.
They just couldn't do it. It's not a homer though. It's actually being objective because Chris Jones.
How the fuck is it not a homer? We beat them. You didn't.
Dom, Chris Jones came out and said it. He said the best team in the league that should have won it was the team that they beat in Baltimore.
You're right,
That's
JJ.
What he said. That's what he said.
Beating teams in regular season does not mean anything. The Eagles beat the Chiefs in the regular season.
Good Lord, here's the thing also. We're going to talk about the Bears in a second. The Bears beat the Patriots the year before in Foxborough. And then they didn't win another game.
So, just before we end this segment, I really wonder who can stop the Chiefs in the AFC. The AFC is going to be stacked. It's going to be tough, but these teams are going to have to go to Kansas City. These teams are going to have to, if they really want it, they're going to have to go through them. And until they prove that they can and will, I don't know. I would have to say that the Chiefs are probably going to be back in the Super Bowl next year.
I think the part that does stand out the most, and to be clear, Juwan Jennings was the best player on the field for the 49ers. That was just my opinion. Had the 49ers won, he probably would have won most valuable player. But I will say this much. I give huge shout out to defensive coordinator Steve Spagnuolo, first to win 4 Super Bowls as a DC. It never fails every single year. They have a bend but don't break. JJ, you've seen it. They have a bend but don't break defense during the regular season. When they hit January, they turn into the 0-2 Buccaneers. This dude turns into a mastermind on defense whenever they make the postseason. Spagnuolo, to have thrown the defenses that he did, at Brock Purdy at the crucial times and had him. Now, again, Purdy didn't turn the ball over or anything like that, but it's just a testament to how this dude is in the big game. So all this talk about Mahomes, and rightfully so, I think a lot has to be sent to Steve Spagnuolo.
Are you seeing what I said, though? Are you seeing
KC's defense was good all year.
I know we have to. I know we do have to wrap it up, but I do just want to say
the infrastructure and these things, regardless if it's Andy Reid and he's running through that team. Remember this: we can't stand the guy, but Matt Nagy's been there for the majority of his career. Here's what I'm saying.
You get the final word.
Okay, but I was going to
say. Go ahead. My bad, Jake. Go ahead, Jacob.
Real quickly, it's like you kept Matt Nagy as much as I wouldn't like him. They got him. Steve Spagnuolo, they had years of B-enemy. They just keep people, and they build a team. And this is what I keep saying with the Bears, and the Bears fans don't listen.
JJ, final word for you.
I understand what Jay is saying, because Spagnuolo took down possibly one of the greatest offenses of all time with Tom Brady's Patriots. That should kind of tell you something, and that's the same type of defense that he had built with against the Chiefs. To answer your question about do you think there's a team in the AFC, I'm gonna be honest with you. Everybody's thinking it, and if you don't think it, then you're probably tripping. Everybody wants to see what that team in East Rutherford, New Jersey plays with that quarterback who comes back. If he gets to come back, that's the only question I have, because that Jets team is formidable, and Aaron Rodgers has been to the promised land. He has gone that way. That's the only team that I think I'm very curious about to see how they match up.
And there's no San Francisco to lose to in the AFC.
I'm not even sure what that means, but we got to go on to our next topic. And we do have Jacob in the house tonight to talk about the Chicago Bears. When we get back, ladies and gentlemen, the Chicago Bears. So many questions about this team. They've got draft capital. They've got cap space.
Look at Jay's face.
What are the Bears going to do? Let's find out.
Jacob's face. My man Jacob is like, oh golly, this is going to be fun.
All right, so the Chicago Bears are our first team. We're going to be previewing all 32 teams this offseason. What is going on with the Chicago Bears? Jacob, before we get started, I am going to go to you first. Chicago Bears, a couple of departures in the secondary. Jalen Johnson was a second-team All-Pro last year, and Eddie Jackson's been very consistent for them. He was just recently cut from the team on Thursday. So two big positions in the secondary that they're going to have to look at. And the biggest question is, what are the Bears going to do with the number 1 overall pick? Are they going to stick with Justin Fields? Are they going to trade him? And who are they going to take with that number 1 pick? Is it going to be Caleb Williams or one of the other quarterbacks that are going to be coming out this year? Jacob, your thoughts on the Bears and where this franchise is going?
Knowing them, they're going to be stupid, and they'll get Caleb Williams. They're going to be idiots. They're going to get Caleb Williams. And Caleb Williams will walk through the tunnel with a strapless dress in the Super Bowl if they think he's going. No. This is what the Bears need to do. They have messed up 2 high picks already. They never keep a coaching staff or anything enough to keep an infrastructure to get big. They don't have the infrastructure to build anything, to build for a big monster thing. If they're smart, they will trade that. They will trade that number 1. Then they will trade Fields. They will get a veteran quarterback. And I'm not saying the veteran will make a difference right away, but go get a lower pick, J.J. McCarthy, something. Heck, Joe Milton from Tennessee. Somebody to develop for a while. Just develop. Do what Green Bay does. Because I missed on I don't miss too many predictions, but I missed on the Jordan Love prediction. They let him sit for about 3 years.
Green Bay is not Chicago, sir.
Huh?
Chicago is not Green Bay.
I know.
Green Bay is not Chicago.
I know it's not unfortunate. It's unfortunate. But I'm saying the Bears go get a veteran that might get a 9-10 wins. that might get a 7th spot or a 6th spot or something. Okay, you lose the first round. It's at least building on something, and then go let your guy, because they absolutely messed up with Trubisky by having Glennon. Absolutely messed up with him by having Glennon, which they could have paid pennies to keep Brian Hoyer, who, by the way, is the only quarterback in Bears history to have 4 straight 300-yard games. I'm not kidding you.
Mm-hmm.
Brian Hoyer. They could have had him for pennies to throw a bunch of checkdowns and let Mitch sit a year if you're going to have him. So then you do that, and then guess what? Mitch is gone. You go get Justin Fields. And he has to play right away because the people were booing Andy Dalton. That's like,
yep.
And then they were threatening to not show up at the games because the Bears fans are morons. Because the Bears fans are idiots, and Justin Fields wasn't ready. He didn't play one first-team snap in that preseason. And then they get him, and then he has to struggle. Oh, yeah, but he's flashy, and he's fun. And he tickles taints. He tickles their taints with their flashy comebacks. Yay! They didn't win. Guess what? Lost 14 straight games with him at one time and with this coaching staff. This team and this fan base is not serious about winning. They want flashy. Okay. And that's the point I'm saying. If the Bears are absolutely positively smart, they will go get a Kirk Cousins, or even I'll take I'll say even Russell Wilson. He's not the same. Get somebody that is just a veteran that knows plays, that knows the offensive systems. That can
Ryan Tannehill.
Sure.
Jimmy G.
I mean,
okay. I mean, I'm not fond of
just anyone.
Look,
just anyone over the age of 30.
Sure. I'll take Jim Flacco. No, it's not the point. I'm not expecting them to win Super Bowls. I'm expecting them to be able to. We don't have any competency in this team. This is what these idiot fans don't understand. These emotional nitwits. There's no.
Outside of quarterback, your team's trending up.
They are. I'm talking about some of the players are trending up, but the coaching staff's not. The quarterback wasn't. The thing is, you got to have an infrastructure. It's on wet sand.
Wet sand.
It's on. You're right.
I love it when a fan of a team talks mess about the whole team, the organization, the front office. I love the realism.
He's a realistic
All right,
fan.
I'm gonna jump in.
Yeah.
I'm gonna give my thoughts.
Okay.
The Chicago Bears, when it comes to the number 1 pick, I'm in agreement with Jacob here. I don't know if sticking with Justin Fields is what they're gonna do. I would say it's probably not. I think Justin will be on a new team next year.
I
do think they will draft a quarterback, but I also think they should trade back from the pick, even if it's a couple spots. If there's someone in the top 5 that's like, yes, Caleb is our guy. Let them have Caleb. Caleb has too many issues to me that are red flags.
He's a USC quarterback, and he's not named Carson Palmer. He's trash.
And he wears a dress. And he wears dresses and he cries.
Let James finish. Go ahead.
He has too many red flags at the NFL level. If you watch Caleb on tape, you will see that he relies way too much on his athletic ability, which he does have incredible athleticism, but bailing from a clean pocket is something that he has done way too often. He stares down,
Justin Fields.
He stares down the middle of the field.
So Justin Fields.
These are two things that if you give this stuff to a defensive coordinator, that's not good. Like, defensive coordinators in the NFL will look at that and they will consistently that. So
even Aaron Glenn would figure that out.
I don't really think that Caleb Williams is worth the hype that he's been given, and I also just don't like the way that he carries himself and the way he tries to lead a team. I don't think he would be able to deal with any adversity when things start to go wrong, being able to lead a locker room and keep it together. I don't think he has those qualities. If I was the Chicago Bears, I would trade back a couple of spots. I would much rather have Jaden Daniels than Caleb Williams if I'm trying to build a team right now. And I definitely think one of the biggest needs for the Chicago Bears in the offseason is addressing the O-line. You can't win anything or do anything unless you...
Their O-line's not that bad.
They just got 2 of them.
It's not good, and it needs to be better. For them, I think a guy like Jonah Williams could come in. They could get him in free agency. They've got
Jackson.
Their ninth in Jonah Williams from played with Cincinnati.
Oh, they can have Jonah Jackson too from Detroit. But keep going. Sorry.
Thanks.
They have the ninth most cap space in the league this season, around $47 million. So I think the Bears are going to be able to make some moves before the draft, and then the draft is going to be key. But the main thing I will say, trading that pick, you saw what trading the number one pick did last year. You're in the same position now, trading with the Panthers. There's going to be teams that's going to be willing to give up more than the Panthers were. And the Panthers gave up their best receiver and a bunch of draft picks. And they passed and this is just a knock on the Panthers. They passed on C.J. Stroud. So still,
took the wrong quarterback.
So that's just crazy. But I think the Bears could get a king's ransom for that pick. I think that's what they should do. Next, I'm going to let JJ jump in.
Okay.
So I don't agree with anybody who's saying that you need to get rid of Justin Fields, because a lot of people are making a point
because he's black.
Dom, hush.
Just kidding. Kidding.
No, it's not even about kidding. Just hush. Thank you. I think so. If you don't have consistency in your building, how can anyone thrive? How can anyone get in there and figure it out? So because of that fact, I'm not going to say Justin Fields can't figure it out, because there has been consistency with him over time. You get him an offensive line that can protect him, and we always talk about how an offensive line can make a quarterback better. Hello, the guy that's a Detroit Lions fan is experiencing that right now with his offensive line protecting his quarterback. I have mine protecting my quarterback. So if I'm the Bears, I would trade that pick, and I would trade that pick to be able to get me an offensive line. I do agree with Will, get Marvin Harrison Jr., get him to pair up with DJ Moore, because there is talent on that team. And
a wide receiver will fix all their problems.
With a real quarterback.
I disagree with you guys on the simple fact of the matter is, if no one's been given a consistent playbook or consistent offense to learn and grow from, and then on top of that, adding on to how much you criticized Matt Nagy for his coaching abilities, that doesn't factor in when we're talking about whether a young quarterback who needs to learn from people who's been in this league to help mentor him, that doesn't factor in. That doesn't add up for me. And so when you say those things about those guys and then go and say you don't think this guy can do it, I don't agree with you. I don't think it's correct at all. He hasn't had a chance to develop for 2 or 3 years in the same system, the same consistency. So no, if I'm them, I'm trading it back. I'm building it with this young man, because whether y'all like it or not, the guy that has that type of play style is becoming a quarterback needed in this league. And whether you want to say anything, hold on, Dom, you're chomping at the bit, but you get your turn in just a second. Relax. You have to give him a chance. I don't know where we got in this world where
he's got the worst fucking record of any quarterback with that many games played ever.
Dom, be quiet. You'll get your turn in a second. You need to contain yourself, especially coming from where you don't even know what quarterbacks are really looking like until you drafted only one in the last 30 years. Let's not act like you know the assessment of what quarterbacks are in terms of developing them and helping them grow and succeed.
He had Stafford.
Give a guy a consistent chance to build and consistent offense to learn and allow his team to learn, and then you will be able to might assess this situation from there. This would not, I don't care who the quarterback is. Joe Burrow's had the same system. Josh Allen's had the same system. Patrick Mahomes has had the same system. They all had the same system, and they're now thriving. Why are we going to sit there and say the same thing about this man? Stop tripping.
Whoa, I got to say this. They all had 1 year where, Mahomes didn't have any losing seasons, but both the other ones you said had one losing year and moved up. He's literally, I'm saying Justin Fields has literally never won 3 games in a row in his whole career. He's only won 2 games in a row 3 times. Okay. Big difference with them all.
All right, I'm going to go to Dom next and see what he has to say. Seems like he's got a lot to say.
Right.
Justin Fields, at this point in his career, makes Lamar Jackson look like he should be a member of Mensa. Justin Fields as a quarterback IQ is as dumb as a Monday morning at work is long. I don't want to hear, yes, the Bears front office and coaching staff is trash, and it's a revolving door, and he's had many different offensive coordinators and systems, but we have seen enough. If you don't know what Justin Fields is by now, if you haven't watched any Bears games, his record will tell you. It is the worst win percentage for any quarterback in the history of the NFL with that many games started. That being said, as a Lions fan, I hope they run with Justin Fields. I hope Justin Fields retires as a Chicago Bear, because I know for every 10 years, that's 9 wins against the Bears.
I hate you. No,
Don't hate me because I'm right.
I know you are something. No.
Sorry for yelling. Sorry for interrupting, JJ. It's just
I understand.
I'm very passionate about how bad Justin Fields is.
No.
I was rooting for that dude.
No. Let me say
when I was afraid we were going to draft Stroud.
No, let me say this.
We still got to get to Jay before jump back in. I'm just going to let him give his thoughts.
Yeah.
It's just real fast. Whether you decide to keep him or deal him away, this is just me, but I think that he is a better option than Caleb Williams. Caleb Williams is a highlight reel.
Yes.
He's a highlight reel. That's all he ever is.
So is Justin Fields.
He's not a big game. He's not a big game quarterback at all. He won the Heisman. I'll give him that much. But he's not a big game quarterback. He went 7-5 last season, and probably his crowning highlight was beating Colorado. And considering how Colorado ended up, that wasn't really saying much. And then you got the year before,
came back.
and they choked a Tulane in the Cotton Bowl.
Thank you.
So
Thank you.
I don't have any faith in Caleb Williams, but if I had to pick the lesser of two evils, I would pick Justin Fields.
Yeah.
And I know that.
But how?
I know that the fans. I know that, and for the record, I do agree. Trade the number 1 pick. But with that being said, the fans were saying they wanted to keep Fields, and I still will stand by my stance that it's the coaching. They have to change what's going on, and they have to change their front office. They have to change their coaching. You give him I'm talking about a legit. Let me ask y'all a question. If you give Justin Fields a top 10 defense, how does he do?
They have a top 10 defense. They have a top 10 defense.
All right, Sane. But let me say this, Jay. Let me say this.
Okay.
Biggest thing I say about this is it's between he and Caleb. One thing I know about, and I want to answer this to you. I want to answer this first off to you, JJ and Dom. Let me say this. If you're comparing Lamar Jackson and Justin Fields, Lamar Jackson's always been far superior to Justin Fields, not even close, including passing. But
agreed.
He's a lot more superior quarterback. But here's the thing with Fields: he has a top 10. He has a top 10 defense now, and he's not good. But let me say this with Fields: if there is guaranteed a comparison between Caleb Williams and Justin Fields, I'm going to go JF. I have to, because the one thing at least I know.
Thank you.
At least I know he's not that good, and we know, and I'm in agreement with Dom about things. But one thing I know is every game, whether he's getting blown out or he's trying to come back or he's doing everything, he comes off looking like Rocky Balboa. He looks like a warrior.
He keeps fighting, yes.
He fights like hell. And the thing is, I know Caleb cries like hell. He wears strapless dresses. He does all that stuff. I don't want to see that walking through our tunnel at all.
Yeah. I promise you, Chicago will ruin Caleb Williams. But you don't know. None of us really. You don't know what Caleb Williams is as a pro quarterback. You know what Justin Fields is, or more so, isn't.
I know.
Don't draft Caleb Williams.
I know Caleb.
But trade Justin Fields, like you said. Go get a vet.
Well, they're going to bring Caleb Williams in the league at a high thing so they can have their mental health initiative. That's what they're doing with that. The guy is a crying wimp, and he goes on the Playboy or whatever and goes and wears dresses. I don't want to see him in our tunnel.
Okay, I'm going to have the final word on this. I'm going to have the final word. We're so fixated on Caleb, but I don't think that the idea of the Bears drafting another one of these quarterbacks is being discussed. You can say everything about Justin Fields, but what about Jaden Daniels? This guy had a phenomenal season. He's the best
Kelly's a
quarterback
bear.
in the draft. He's one of the best He's the best quarterback in the draft, in my opinion. He spreads the ball. He's not a one-read quarterback. He keeps his eyes down the field. He's not a one-read quarterback that just bails from the pocket and just tries to run around like Caleb Williams. So if I was the Chicago Bears, that's who I would draft, and that's who I would try to build my team around. You can get more compensation for Justin Fields to a team that needs a quarterback like the Atlanta Falcons or someone else like that, and then you can move forward with Jaden Daniels as your guy. That's what I would do if I was the Chicago Bears.
You know, but the thing is, whether it's Jaden Daniels or Drake May, it doesn't even matter to me. I don't want that. I don't want. Excuse me. Don't want that high pick as a quarterback. I don't want it. I don't care which one. I don't want. Jaden. All I would say if it was Jaden is thank God it's not Caleb. Same with Drake. Thank God it's not Caleb. But
the best quarterback you ever had was Jay Cutler, and you didn't draft him.
Yeah, I know.
You know what's funny is why don't they just allow? Why do you have to draft a quarterback? Why not you use that pick to draft something else?
I'm with you.
Why do you
I'd
have to
rather
draft
see
quarterback?
Kirk Cousins there.
Not even about
anyone over the age of 30.
Absolutely.
Not even about trading
years.
it back. I'm sitting there saying it's like, are we getting to a point where if it's the number one pick, it has to be a quarterback? It doesn't have to be a quarterback.
No, it's just there's not a dominant left tackle or an end. So yeah, it has to be a quarterback.
We got to wrap this up.
Okay.
On our non-sports related topic, we're going to have a hip-hop conversation / debate. And this is brought to you by Dom and Denzel. So we're going to start with Dom, who brought up the question. What was your question that you wanted to ask the audience?
Greatest hip-hop duo, greatest hip-hop group.
Okay, do you want to kick us off then?
Duo is either Outkast or UGK. Group is Wu-Tang. I know what I think. I want to know what you guys think.
Denzel.
Oh man, greatest hip hop duo. I got to be partial to UGK. I think that question is actually subjective to what region that you're in. If you're from the South, you may say UGK or Outkast. If you're from the East, you may say Mobb Deep. If you're from out West, you may say the Dog Pound. It's just me, and all great. Not even great in their own right, just all great, period. But hip-hop duo, I'm going to go with UGK. Best hip-hop group, Bone Thugs and Harmony. Also most talented. Not only can these guys rap and rap fast, but they can legit sing. They can come out with an all R&B album and it will go platinum. That's my pick.
And the shirt.
Jacob, you got one?
Milli Vanilli. I don't know.
The longest forgotten hip-hop duo of
the Bone shirt.
Really? I'm not a big.
What does OG have to say?
Huh?
What you got to say, OG?
I said Milli Vanilli. I don't know.
Pick?
I am not a hip hop.
Couldn't wait to hear Jacob weigh in on his favorite hip hop duo and group.
Hip hop.
JJ, do you have one?
Larry Bird and Kevin McHale.
Why not?
Very angry, very.
I mean, duo for me, I was going to go Outkast because I love Outkast. I definitely think they had it. And even when they had that separate album, The Love Below, Speaker Box, one of my favorite albums. Even though
that was
it's not
my
considered
shit.
The greatest album, even though it wasn't considered the greatest album that they had. But, I mean, I liked Wu-Tang, but I also like Naughty by Nature. And so at the end of the day, I love Wu-Tang. I have to give it to them.
Okay.
I have to give it to them.
All right, so I'm up now. Greatest,
the other white guy.
The other white guy is going to pick Mobb Deep for my duo because I've been listening to a lot of Mobb Deep lately.
I like Mobb.
Hey, ain't no such thing as halfway crooks.
Yeah, that's one of the best lines. But my favorite song by them is "Survival of the Fittest." Great track. These guys are hard. These guys are gangster. They can spit. They can rhyme. They can do everything. I like the way that they work together. So that's definitely gonna be my duo. Group. I have to go with NWA. It's hard to go against Ice Cube and Eazy and Dr. Dre. Like these guys are all.
Oh, and MC Ren just doesn't exist?
They're all so Yeah, but those are the main three guys, and those guys are so versatile in what they do. It's not just about singing and rapping and making music. The production side of it and what these guys have been able to do as a producer is also something that you have to mention. Like we mentioned about Jay-Z versus Dr. Dre. Both guys have done a great job, but Dr. Dre is probably the greatest producer that has ever lived. And he's done it on both sides. A lot of these guys have done it on both sides. So I think that matters when you're having this conversation. So that's why I'm going to go with NWA as my group, and my duo is going to be Mobb
Deep.
So, Denzel, what was your topic?
All right, so mine was okay. So the last scenario that I brought was, if you were an up and comer, what mentor would you have? So same scenario. You're an up and comer, and you're about to do your debut album. Okay. Pick one executive / main producer. They'll produce every track on the album. And for your lead single, pick one feature artist. Producer, Dr. Dre, Timbaland, Neptunes, or Kanye West. And feature artist for your lead single, Nas, Snoop Dogg, Eminem, or Lil Wayne.
Oh, shit. Okay, let me go. Let me take this one. So wait. I can only pick one artist for...
One artist, one producer.
Okay, so my producer...
It's tough. That's what makes it fun.
My producer is definitely going to be Dr. Dre. My artist... So I have a main artist and a feature artist?
Yeah, for your lead single on your album, who you want to guest feature on it? Nas, Snoop, Eminem, or Lil Wayne?
Nas. Because, in my opinion, he's the best of all of them.
Yeah.
And the feature? What were the options for the feature?
That was it. You picked it, Nas.
You're the main artist. You're the main artist.
I thought there was a main artist and a feature.
Producer and feature.
Okay,
yeah.
Dr. Dre and Nas. Next question.
There you go. Yeah, that was it.
Dre, Weezy. As much as I love Weezy, young Weezy, Lil Wayne right now is a better feature rapper than he is a main rapper. Sorry, not sorry. I was fucking with Wayne when he was younger than the size of his rims, because he was 17 and he had 19-inch wheels.
Wayne is top 10 all time. Next question. JJ, do you want to weigh in?
I mean, I was gonna go Dre and Weezy too, because at the end of the day, Weezy is one. Weezy is renowned as literally a top 2 rap artist of all time by most people's accounts, and my generation of 35 to 45, and in the younger generation between 25 and 35.
Did you guys see that I'm speaking that Hot Boys reunion at the Super Bowl halftime show into existence?
Yep.
I do not need to see Juvenile and Manny Fresh.
You don't. I do. I don't need to see. I just need to see Manny Fresh on the 1s and 2s. I just need to see Weezy, Turk, PG, and Juvie.
It's not happening because we all know.
It's happening because all 4 of us are gonna fucking be there.
T Swift is going to be on the halftime show. You heard it here first.
Okay. Well then, the snipers sighted in.
All right.
Talk to me.
No. Her first song on that halftime show will be "Why Do You Have to Be So Mean?"
Probably, but yeah, producer. I'm going with Dr. Dre on this one, but it was honestly close because, and our guy John Shearer once coined the term "context matters." If I'm doing a well-rounded album, I'll go with Dr. Dre. If I was doing an album full of club hits and maybe like a little bit of pop, I would go actually Timbaland or Neptune.
Yep.
But well-rounded album, I would go with Dr. Dre for sure. And feature, I'm with James on this one. Nas, better lyricist than anybody on the list, bar for bar. Now, had this had been 2007 when Lil Wayne was featured on everybody's tracks, including Garth Brooks, I probably would have said Wayne. But no, undoubtedly Nas. Something to smoke too, laid back. You can go with like Snoop Dogg if you want to go a little,
Who's listening to Nas right now?
Again, did it?
Me.
What young generation is listening to Nas right now? Because we have to think about them. James, you're one person.
Nas
don't
did
matter.
5 albums with Hit Boy in 3 years, and I've heard some of the young generation talking about how fire those albums were.
We got the young generation talking about Lil Pump and all this crap. Like we don't need to hear about that.
Can I ask one question?
But that's the crowd that this question's catering to, right? We have to make music fit for today's
That's the thing. About every 10 years, it switches up. Everyone 10 years older than me thinks my rap is trash. Everyone 10 years younger than me thinks my rap is trash.
Yeah. Can I ask one question about this? I'm just saying it this way. You bringing this part up, you're bringing up some legends in the hip-hop field. You're bringing up legends. You guys brought these names. Remember, I'm not a hip-hop guy. I'm just asking this. 30 years ago, I heard these names. 30, and they're asking that. You're saying this about this, JJ. You're saying, oh, who do we get now? I don't see anybody now based on the fact that we're on a show talking about the guys I heard 30 years ago. I don't hear any other names. Because
there's only 2 dudes now that's currently making music that I think is even close to the level of like Nas and Lil Wayne and Kanye and all these people, and that is J. Cole and Kendrick Lamar. Everyone else,
you're gonna fucking say J. Cole.
J. Cole is amazing.
It says your generation.
But no,
even older people have said that J. Cole can spit, and he spits real things in his raps instead of just talking about like murder and drugs and all this stuff. He has a real message and he gets it across, and he's very
hip hop was based on rapping about murder and drugs.
You just like,
you know what? Dre's album was so successful.
It doesn't have to be though. It doesn't have to be.
You know what? Dre's album was so successful. He came on here talking about bitches, blunts, and big screen TVs. You come on here rapping about homosexuals and Vicodin.
Music can be different, and everyone can use music to get any message that they want to get across. And J. Cole gets his message across. Don't try to sit here and tell me that J. Cole is not good.
But JJ got the reference at least.
You're delusional. That is what you are.
No, I've just been listening to hip hop for 20 more years than you have.
No, but you're making the point of saying these guys. I'm just going to say a name that's not hip hop, but these guys are Frank Sinatra of hip hop. Frank Sinatra, when he was dying, I'm saying they are, because this is what I'm saying.
Nobody is Old Blue Eyes. No one we mentioned.
You're correct on that, but this is what I'm saying by the name by itself in that level. He 60 years later, after he finally passed away, he was still doing dumb stuff, and people were still talking about him. This is true. We're talking people that are 30 some odd years, that people were 30 years ago acting like this. Music is not the same anymore at all. Yeah. None.
Hang on.
We're 2 people.
We're missing Jaden Ivey. We're missing Jaden Ivey and Jalen Duren in the Rising Stars game. I gotta go.
But to give more context to Jacob's point just now, and Dom, you remember this. Everybody remember this. You remember the Snap era of the mid 2000s, D4L and all of them. It's like 15, 20 years later, and is anyone talking about D4L? Is anyone talking about franchise boys?
No, they're not. I've never heard of them. See, I'm telling you this though. I've never heard of them.
Yeah, everyone heard Shake They Laffy Taffy.
But I'm saying I'm not because of that time. But that's what I'm saying about. It's like when you're a star of anything. When you're a star of anything, you're coming 30, 40 years ahead. We talk basketball, baseball, anything. You're 30, 40 years ahead. We don't see these stars. We're going to talk Patrick Mahomes till the end of time. Not too many others. That's the thing. People don't know how to be stars. They don't. Everybody, that is the thing. I'm talking about music. I'm talking about acting. I'm talking about anything. People don't know how to be stars. It's because everybody's going to be offended. You have to control everything.
Cancel culture.
And a while back, we had a non-sports topic, and JJ, you weighed in heavily on this one, that when it comes to R&B artists, or just R&B in general, has the art of developing an artist been lost, and everyone just wants that quick hit, or they just want to go viral? Well, when it comes to developing an artist, this is how you create stars. James, you talk about Anita and Whitney from the Beyonce conversation, right? Well, this was how the Whitneys was created. This is how the Anitas was created. This is how the Arethas was created. This is how all the ones that we revere are created. These are the stars that we will talk about generations from now. And this is why Dre gets talked about. This is why Timberland stuff is talked about. The Nas's, the Eminems, the Waynes. It's why D4L doesn't get talked about, Fly By Night. It's why Franchise Boys doesn't get talked about, Fly By Night. It's anyone's guess what's going to happen with Bow Wow, but this is exactly the type of stuff I'm talking about. These people have made timeless hits. They've made timeless hits.
Bow Wow told me you ain't fresh as I'm is, and I felt that.
Yeah, but he'll be on all fours by the end of his life.
All right, guys, that about wraps us up for the show tonight. I want to thank Jacob and everyone for Jacob for joining us tonight to talk about the Chicago Bears.
Appreciate you.
Host of the Pundit, part of the Sideline Sports team. Really appreciate you, Jacob. And as you know, like anytime that you ever want to be on the show,
just call an asshole. Just call me an asshole.
I'm gonna go listen to D4L Laffy Taffy. Boom.
The viewers and the fans love when Jacob comes on, so it's always a fun show. But with that,
he's got really weird hair.
Yeah, so
it's gray and it's thick, and I'm proud of it.
So
it's a Tommy Boy reference.
With that being said, ladies and gentlemen, thank you guys all for tuning in to the Gauntlet, part of the Sideline Sports Network. We will see you guys next week, same time, same place, 8 p.m. Eastern, for another episode of the Gauntlet.
Spay and neuter your pets.
Huh.